Everyone wants to start a reef tank, but no one actually shares what are the key considerations before you even embark on this journey. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 4 key factors for you to consider whether you are a beginner looking to start a new reef tank or even an old veteran who's looking to come back to this game. Hi everyone, this is JZ and welcome to JZ Reefs, where reefing's made easy for reefers by reefer. So, reefing. What exactly is reefing? In general, it's just a saltwater or a marine tank, as some of you might call it, set up to upkeep your saltwater fishes and precious corals. Unfortunately, when we talk about setting it up, a lot of times when we look it up online or we check with shops and even friends, first few questions will come up will be like, what is the budget you're looking at? What kind of brands you prefer? What are the gadgets you're looking to buy? Well, in today's video, this is none of our consideration. In fact, we are going to go through 4 key other factors for you to consider even before going to this nitty-gritty aspect. So, if you're ready, just grab a pen with me and some paper and let's get started. The first factor I'm going to cover today is lifestyle. Do your lifestyle allows you to keep a marine fish tank or any pets for the matter? For example, if you were to keep a dog, heck, you have to walk the dog, clean up the mess, and bring the dog out for walk. Similarly, for a reef tank, you will need to do things mainly on maintenance, such as doing water changes, topping up dosing liquid supplements, feeding the fishes, and also cleaning stuff like algae. So do you have the time on your daily schedule, be it work, family, and even kids for some of you in the case, to actually allocate at least perhaps an hour or 2 every week and maybe 5-10 minutes every day just to check up on your tank, maybe feed the fishes? If you do, then that's one tick that we can check off. Factor number 2, aside from having the time, you actually need the space, whether you like it or not. Why do I take space into consideration when I advise aspiring reefers in setting up a new tank? It's because as a beginner, the larger the tank is that you can accommodate to your available space will provide you a larger water volume. It allows water parameter to be more stable. For example, a 10-gallon tank would have X amount of evaporation, the same as a 100-gallon tank would, but the amount of water being evaporated will not affect the salinity as much as a larger 100-gallon tank would. In general, for beginners, I would advise at least a 322 tank. If you have that space, I would recommend you to go as large as your space can accommodate. Why is that so? A lot of reefers will tend to get a small tank because the initial cost of setting it up and getting started is easier, but at the same time, it is proven that it's harder for a new beginner to succeed in reefing and eventually give up, because a smaller water volume actually is more prone to failure. Whereas for a bigger tank, you have more room for errors, which gives you more room for success. Another issue faced for new reefers is that when they purchase a small tank and they see some success, and over time they would want to get a larger tank because their corals and fish will outgrow that small little tank. And when you upgrade from a smaller tank to a bigger tank, you have to once again re-procure all the equipment such as your chiller, your heater, your pumps, your wave maker, etc, etc. And that actually sets you back an additional cost that could be well avoided if you just feed a tank that could accommodate with your existing space. Another key consideration for space is because you will require the amount of space when you're doing your maintenance. For example, you will want space to mix your salt, to do your water change, and to keep all your equipments and your supplements and fish food and yada yada yada. But you get the drift. Which one of you have actually started with a smaller tank but end up wasting money just upgrading to a bigger, better tank? Do drop your comments in the description below. Now to the third factor, which is running costs. It's not just about spending money to procure the equipment and setup. There's actually an ongoing cost when we maintain a reef tank. Costs into consideration could be such as utility bills when the consumption of electricity increases because you are essentially using more appliances such as your chiller, your heaters, your return pumps and etc. Then you have your water bill required for water changes. You also would have things like supplements you are dosing, equipment failure that you have to replace eventually, and also the salt, the marine salt to be exact. So don't use any table salt and just try to mix it. Even marine salt comes at a price, and the larger tank you have, the running costs will actually increase based on that. Well, why don't you guys share with me what is your running cost per month in the comments down below. If cost is your concern, do stay till the end of this video, and I'm gonna share some bonuses, tips on how you can actually share and save costs. Moving on to our last factor, which is factor 4, will be livestock or animals in general. Why do I use the term animals? Corals in general are animals. They are not plants or can't be classified as plants as the freshwater side. They actually are living animals who can grow and propagate on their own. So in general, livestock refers to animals both for fishes and corals. So for livestock consideration, the size of your tank will determine or constrain the livestock or animals that you can keep in your dream tank. Will essentially determine the size of the tank that you should have for better health and care for the animal per se. This is especially true for fishes more than corals. For corals, if they outgrow it, you can actually just pass on to another friend by fragmentation or fragging per se. For fishes wise, some animals like the tanks, they require huge swimming space. So if you were to come to me and say you would like to keep a tank in, let's say, a 2-feet tank, I would not recommend it. But yet there are some who would do it or had success with it. But in my opinion, that is something I would advise against for the well-being of fish or animal per se. Then if you want to keep smaller fish like damsels, clownfish, they require smaller available space. For example, you can house a pair of clownfish in a 10-gallon cube tank and still get away with it. But the type of livestock that you wish to keep, I would urge you to do proper read up, research, check around online and fellow YouTubers online on what are the care requirements for the specific fish, and try to plan your setup to cater to that fish. Please keep that in mind before you make any livestock purchase, because life matters. 4 of the factors have been covered, so I'm sure you briefly get a overview of what is there to consider before you start a reef tank. As promised, I'm going to share with you tips on how to save costs when you start a reef tank. Firstly, let's talk about additives or supplement. If you were to look around the commercial aquarium supplements, for example, sodium bicarbonate, which is your additive to add KH or alkalinity into your tank to maintain the growth and the health of general coral. By some of These branded supplements they actually cost a lot more compared to if I were to get a pharmaceutical grade sodium bicarbonate. So what's the difference? Well, you are paying for the branding, you are paying for the product. And basically, if you can get a good source of pharmaceutical grade product of sodium bicarbonate, is actually essentially almost the same. Maybe some brands would have trace elements, which you can also purchase trace elements and add it and have more control. So in that way, if you were to bulk purchase, let's say sodium bicarbonate, you actually save a lot more in the long run because it's a supplement that you will use on a day-to-day basis. That goes the same for key supplements such as your calcium and your magnesium. So do keep that in mind if you intend to lower your running costs. And the other consideration will be your marine salt. We have no choice but to procure marine salt to mix the salt water up for our water change. But that being said, if you were to notice the price between a smaller bag versus a larger bag, there can be some savings if you have the luxury of space to store a larger proportion. Those are my two key methods that I thought I should share with you guys in order to get at least some cost saving. I hope this video has been useful to you, and if you know anyone, and I mean anyone, who wants a reef tank, do share with them this video so that they get some thinking through before even embarking on this journey. Thank you for watching.